You are watching MTG Cribs on MTGO Academy featuring RYANCRABBS.
Alright, welcome today to my videos. Today I'm doing a modern daily events with a rack deck, or the rack. In case you know what that is, it's this card. It costs one colorless. It's from like Alpha, Beta, and Revised in those sets. And it was also reprinted in the Time Shifted Time Spiral set, so now we can have it in Modern. And what it does is you choose an opponent when it comes in play, so your opponent, because there's only one in Modern when you play online. Then in the beginning of their upkeep, they take X damage, where X is 3 minus the number of cards in their hand. So basically, if they have 2 cards in their hand, they take 1 damage. If they have 1 card in their hand, they take 2 damage. If they have 0 cards in their hand, they take 3 damage. So we're playing 4 of those, because we're just trying to empty their hand. And then we're playing Shrieking Affliction, which is a Gatecrash, or, wait, is this Return to Ravnica? Uncommon. Let's see. It's Return to Ravnica. For some reason I thought it was Gatecrash. Anyways, that it's almost the same text. It says, beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in their hand, he or she loses 3 life. So, it's a little bit better than the rack in the sense that you don't have to get them handless just to 1, and they take 3 damage. But it doesn't do anything if they have 2 cards in their hand, which the rack deals 1 damage. But this is very potent. So the goal of our deck is to play racks and Shrieking Afflictions and get them handless. So we have lots of ways to do that. We have 4 Thoughtseizes, allows us to choose any card from their hand to discard it. 4 Inquisition of Kozilek, which allows us to choose any card that costs 3 or less, which most cards in Modern do. And especially if you play turn 1, they usually have 1 or 2 choices at least. We have 4 Raven's Crime. Now this card's awesome. I really like it in this deck. It's just target player discards a card. It doesn't seem that powerful. It just seems way worse than Inquisition or Thoughtseize. But it has Retrace, which means you can cast it from your graveyard by discarding a card and paying its cost. So after you play this, every land you draw, or every extra land you have in your hand, becomes another Raven's Crime. So it allows you to turn your little bit of mana flood into destroying their whole hand. It turns into a Mind Twist, basically. So that's pretty sweet. And then we also have 4 Wrench Mines. They discard 2 cards unless they discard an artifact card. It can be pretty bad, especially against the Fanny. It's just 2 mana Raven's Crime. They discard 1 card. But sometimes, like against Zoo or other decks, they don't have any artifacts, or only a couple. It's just 2 mana, they discard 2 cards, which is very powerful. It's above the curve. Usually that kind of effect is at least 3 mana. Then we have a couple Smallpoxes. It's each player loses 1 life, discards a card, sacrifices a creature, then sacrifices a land. So I got this deck list from the recent Pro Tour in Valencia. I got a deck tech. And I'm playing the deck mostly as is, just to see how it works and see how it runs as the list was given to me, basically. And I don't think I like Smallpox. Like, it seems like a sweet card, but the deck doesn't run any way to abuse it or get ahead because of it. Like, it doesn't have Blood Gas, which you can get back. It doesn't have any, like, it doesn't play green. And, like, I might want to play green for life in the loam, which is really good with Smallpox. So sometimes, like, you don't even want to play it because you have our only creature in the main deck is a Dark Confident. And, like, you don't want to sacrifice your Dark Confident, and you don't want to sacrifice a land. It's just, it seems like I just put in the deck because it makes him discard a card. Like, not too much synergy, which I would like to see more of. Like, it's a very powerful card when it works right, but besides that, it's not that good. Then we have 4 Dark Confidence, which provide card advantage, which I love. I love this card. I used to play this a lot back in when Ravnica was standard. Then we have 4 Liliana of the Veils, which is very good. It allows us to do something in the late game, which like the rack type of decks have had problems with before. So it keeps constant pressure on their hand, so they have to play things or it gets discarded. They can't like hold cards in their hand. Because like one of the ways you lose is like you have these racks and Shrieking Afflictions, and then they just hold like 3 lands in their hand, and then you can't Thoughtseize or Inquisition them. So they don't deal any damage, and they just eventually play a creature, and they get you. But Liliana prevents that from happening. You can get lands out of their hand. It kills their creatures. It's just so powerful. It's so sweet. And then we have Ensnaring Bridge, which is just kind of like a catch-all to all their creatures. Because a lot of times, like, these type of decks, they're vulnerable to creatures. Say, like, I play a Thoughtseize, and then they go land something. I play another discard spell, and they have no spells in their hand. Then they play a land, they chop deck the Tarmogoyf. They play Tarmogoyf. Then all of a sudden, all my spells don't do anything because they have like a 4 or 5 Tarmogoyf. And I don't have any way to deal with it. Like all these Raven Crimes, Thoughtseizes, Wrench Mines, they do nothing in that scenario. So like I only have very few outs to actual creatures, just Smallpox, Liliana, and Ensnaring Bridge. But Ensnaring Bridge stops every creature, creatures without power with power greater than the number of cards in your hand can attack. So it just keeps everything at bay, allows you to do what you want to do without having to worry about stopping all their creatures. So that's the main deck. Then we have a bunch of swamps. One Urborg allows us to use our Mutavaults as black mana, which does come relevant. Mutavault's awesome, but we do have a lot of double black cards in the deck, so it can be kind of awkward. So that's the main deck. And the sideboard is from the list from the Pro Tour, except for I changed one thing, and that's it was playing 4 Nihil Spell Bombs, which you can sacrifice to remove a graveyard, and then when it dies, you can pay a black to draw a card, which is good. It's powerful, but I like Relic of Progenitus more, because sometimes like they have a Tarmogoyf, but it's not that big, and Relic can keep stuff like that under bay, and you can still draw a card with it. The only downside is that it can get your Raven's Crime, but I think the ability to like shrink graveyards without having to waste it is very good. So I'm gonna try out this instead. I like Relic a lot. I played it in my Merfolk list. Then we have a 4th Ensnaring Bridge for creature matchups, Dismember for creatures, Smallpox. Like the sideboard seems kind of just like generic answers, nothing too specific. I think I would like to try like a Pithy Needle, maybe Surgical Extraction, Shadow of Doubt, other like more targeted answers for certain decks as opposed to just like random. Seems like almost random. 2 Blackmail. You look at their hand and they reveal, or you don't get a look at their hand. That'd be too good. They just reveal 3 cards to you, and you choose one of them. So you get one of their worst 3 cards, and they discard it. Let's go against control. Like you just go Thoughtseize, Inquisition, then Blackmail, and then you see their whole hand. Then we have 4 Toper Orb, which is good against Splinter Twin and Birthing Pod, because those decks are just a nightmare for our deck. Because a pod, like we can't stop pod. That's another reason why maybe like a Pithy Needle or a Graft Digger's Cage to stop pod. Because like we can discard their hand, but we can't stop them from podding. And also stop Splinter Twin, because like Splinter Twin can be really good against us. They just go end turn Pester Might, untap, draw a Splinter Twin and get us. But that's the list. We're gonna try it out in this daily event, see how it goes. I'm kind of excited. This deck looks sweet, and we'll see how it does. We'll see you at the start of round 1.